Hi, I'm DK Will, and this is DK We'll Talk About It.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
I have to say the previous video about the Bitcoin ETF, Make Your Money and Run, got one heck of a response. And a lot of people said a lot of things. I appreciate your comments on the video very much so. I tried to address every one of them. And let's be sure, I'm not trying to make everybody think the way I think or believe the way I think. I gave a possibility that could very well be the case, and this wouldn't be the first time that I was saying something nobody wanted to believe. But I'm not saying it's absolutely true. So to be clear, some people made some points about you can buy Bitcoin, Satoshis, and buy them bit by bit anyway, which I'm fully aware of. So to start this next video, I'm going to play a portion of the video that created the stir, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to listen very closely to the words that I say, and then we'll go from there. Let's check it out. So here's my proposition about this Bitcoin ETF. And it's up to you if it fits in your paradigm or not. It's how I see what's going on. It's up to you. Now that they have successfully generated enough interest to make people want to grab a hold of Bitcoin and making it easier for people to buy Bitcoin bit by bit, Satoshi by Satoshi, by creating these exchange traded funds. You could always do that anyway. But see, now they own the asset. You could always buy Bitcoin. And they own an asset that could very well prove to be a trap, like I said earlier. I really encourage you to go watch my videos about it. I'll put relevant cards on this video so that you can. But this is not normal mainstream thinking, not even within our YouTubes and X Twitters and all these other communities for cryptocurrencies. This may be just my own. And yes, this may be just my own viewpoint, but I'm DK Will. I'm a paradigm whisperer. And I think what will help a lot of people are they think they know the cryptocurrency market and everything, and then quite honestly, some people do. But does everybody really know what an ETF is? Even the ones who are, opposed to the concept that maybe the ETF could fail. Well, if you can see here, ETFs in 2023 had a tale of success and failure. And let's be reasonable here, people. Every investment you make has the opportunity for risk. It has the opportunity to fail or to succeed. And just because it's wrapped around Bitcoin doesn't mean it's going to definitely succeed. And that's another thought pattern that maybe will help some people's paradigms. But in 2023, there were 244 closures, despite a banner year. 244 closures of exchange-traded funds. It says here there are a few reasons why exchange-traded funds generally die. Low assets under management, high fees, poor performance, short track records are closely associated with the probability of closure. In 2023, there were 244 ETF closures with an average of 5.4 years and average assets under management of only $54 million. We covered assets under management in the prior video. They lost 4.8 percentage points on average over the trailing 1 year before liquidation. A poor showing indeed. So that's the first thing I'm going to say is don't think just because you put a Bitcoin on it is going to make it a successful ETF. That's the first mistake any tribalism may get to you. Because see, that's exactly what the video I did was about. They want to get you to believe that it's going to shoot to the moon to $500,000. That's how they keep you bringing your money in. And that's how they keep the herd bringing in. Keep in mind, the cryptocurrency market is only about 4 or 5% of the global population. That's a lot of people got to come in. And a lot of people don't know what they're coming into. And quite honestly, I think a lot of people don't even know what an ETF is. But you can bet your bottom bippy that the financial advisors and institutions, they're going to be recommending that you put your money into the ETFs. Because then they can make their fees. So I agree with that comment. Well known. They're going to make fees. But they are also going to distribute the risk on asset to you who holds the shares of the ETF. And if the asset goes bad, the ETF goes bad. So what happens if the ETF goes bad? Now, for those who may be new to my channel, I have a parrot named Bogey who hangs out with me, and when I talk, sometimes he's in the mood to out-talk me. So when you hear the squawking in the background, it's Bogey, the parrot. Nobody's dead, nobody's dying, nobody's hurt. It's just Bogey. So, while we've seen an explosion of new exchange-traded funds, and that's what we're seeing now, aren't we? New exchange-traded funds with Bitcoin being a basis, right? Okay. But this is the reality, folks, but once a fund opens, it doesn't necessarily stay open forever. Fund closures, can create a costly hassle for whom? Investors. It doesn't say for the institution, does it? It says for investors. Why are they closing? Industry's rapid growth has resulted in funds that proved to be too much of a niche, and failed to attract investors. Now, do we think that's going to happen with Bitcoin? Likely not. That probably won't be the reason. If you stick with the largest ETFs that track broad market gauges or major asset classes, you may never encounter a fund closure. Not going to get that with the Bitcoin ETF, are you now? It's going to be mostly Bitcoin, some other coins, but primarily the blockchain cryptocurrency industry. So you're taking not just the risk with the fund risk, you're taking the industry risk when you buy an ETF. Okay? So what are the options when they go bad? The ETF will generally announce the fund's closure by sending notice to shareholders, listing dates when it will stop trading and when its assets will be liquidated. You have two options. You can sell, or you can await the liquidation and get what they give you. But they absolutely can possibly sell. So until the ETF stops trading, you can sell shares like normal. The fund will continue to track its underlying index. In this case, it would be Bitcoin, which helps ensure its price won't plummet to zero because of the closure announcement. Okay, so here's the deal with that. There's going to be other coins in the Bitcoin ETFs, but the major percentage of the fund will be Bitcoin. That's why it's called a Bitcoin ETF. So that will also help you keep from going to zero, unless it's a ETF full of coins that all go to zero. This is assuming if the Bitcoin fails. The other option you have is you can await liquidation. You can simply wait for the fund to be liquidated after its final trading day. The manager will sell all the holdings in the fund, settle other obligations, and divvy up the balance among remaining shareholders. So, let's keep everything in perspective, because an ETF can fail. So if you're overhyped over a Bitcoin ETF and you think it's guaranteed success over a Bitcoin ETF, you're in the wrong mental place to be. Plus, what if I'm right? What if they know it's going to fail and they are distributing the risk to you? What if that's the case? Did you know that 1 in 20 ETFs were axed in 2020 after failing to build to scale? Now, again, I don't think it's going to be a problem of building to scale, but that's not the only thing that can make an ETF fail. That's not the only thing that can do it. It says here, worldwide, a record of 297 ETFs were shut down during 2020. Okay, put another way, it was 1 in 20 closed in 2020. So don't be unreasonable when it comes to investing. There's no guarantee here. Even if I'm wrong and Bitcoin doesn't become a zeroed out cryptocurrency, the ETFs can still fail, people. And there are a lot of things that can make an ETF fail? And if you'll go with the line of thought from the video, the prior video, that's the whole point. They want to be able to avoid blame by unloading something, and I'm talking about the elite, the ones who know it's going to fail, maybe the ones who rub elbows with Dave Pena. Maybe he's right. Maybe they know it's going to fail, and this is how they disguise their divesting without looking like it's insider trading. You follow? Let's be clear here. There's only one crypto asset that has complete regulatory clarity. Only one. And it's not Bitcoin. And so, is it possible for Bitcoin to fail? Bitcoin still suffers legislative risk. The law could turn up against Bitcoin, and I doubt that it will. It would be too obvious. No, I think they are going to do already what I've said. They're going to approve these ETFs. They're going to give financial advisors ways to make money off of fees. Yes. They're going to buy it low, and they have been buying it low, and they have it in their coffers. That will be the topic of a different video. But they have their Bitcoin in their coffers, many of them. They can manipulate the price because it's not under the purview of the SEC until it becomes an ETF, and then the ETF will be under the purview of the SEC if the SEC continues to live. And you can see over here some of the best and worst performing tech ETFs of the year from this article back in June of 2022. But when you look over to the right, first look at some of these names: ARK, Global X, First Trust, SPDR, that's a BlackRock one, iShares, First Trust again, ProShares Technology. Okay, but when you look at this article here, it says here you can see it's somewhere in the broad sector of ETFs. The Technology Select Sector Fund is the third worst performing sector ETF in the suite, with a year-to-date loss of 23.9%. Point being, they can fail. Blockchain ETFs top worst performers lists. Taking the mantle of worst performing tech ETF of the year is the Global X Blockchain ETF. Though bulls have high hopes that one day crypto can become uncorrelated from the stock market, and particularly tech stocks, so far it hasn't happened. Bitcoin and Ether have tracked the NASDAQ quite closely, which the two down 35 and 46% respectively on a year-to-date basis. Now, long term, they perform very well, but on the short term, they absolutely can go bad in this volatile cryptocurrency market. Here's an ARK ETF that's in shambles. ARK FinTech Innovation in shambles. Cybersecurities outperform. Okay, so folks, is it possible that a Bitcoin ETF can fail? Yes. Absolutely yes. Is it possible that a Bitcoin ETF can lose its value? Yes. Absolutely yes. Do you remember when Coinbase did an IPO? Came out at what, 250 bucks? Ran all the way up, I think, to 400 bucks? What's it worth now? I don't even know what it's worth now, but I'm going to check because I asked the question. Well, here's a quick answer to that question. It's at about 154 bucks. You can see here, came out, it went as high as 350 bucks. 345 bucks. So let's not pretend that it can't fail just because it got Bitcoin wrapped around its tail. So let's take a lesson learned here on the closures of ETFs. ETF success in 2023 conceals an undeniable truth within the product development cycle. Not all strategies thrive. A rising tide won't lift boats unable to float on their own. Some sink to the bottom before garnering enough interest to sustain themselves. But those closures provide valuable lessons. Throwing products at the wall and praying that some stick is a risky and potentially costly approach, amplifying the likelihood of closure. But it's not new. Invesco's closures of 29 funds across 20 different categories stands as a testament to the perils of such an approach. Likewise, chasing niche markets with limited utility, like Direxion's leveraged ETFs, can lead to a quick exit. I'm going to read that again. Chasing niche markets with limited utility. So folks, they can be doing exactly what I said in the prior video, and they are generating all this hysteria over a Bitcoin ETF. It's very likely going to be a buy on rumor, sell on news. If they are trying to unload because they know with the new monetary system coming in and a new move to utility that Bitcoin really doesn't cut the mustard, Ethereum certainly doesn't cut the mustard, the fees are too high. It can't really be used. It's a speculative type crypto asset, and the speculation market is going to die this last round here, and the utility market is going to thrive. So can you tell me the utility of Bitcoin? You can't. You can't. So if it's not grandfathered in like a Kleenex or a Coca-Cola or a McDonald's or a very famous name because it started it all, but what happened to Kodak? And if it's not given the opportunity to be a store of value like gold, digital gold, we'll say, to be a store of value, because the elites decided that they want to own it and then use it like they did gold and cut ETFs for gold like they did. A Bitcoin ETF can fail. If Bitcoin fails, a Bitcoin ETF can fail and cost tons of liquidated money to who? Not the institutions, the investors. Just remember that. I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It. And I've talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.